welcome to Thrilling Thursday with me, Ariel Gatoga, live here on YouTube. It is so great to be here with you. I hope you're having a great day so far. Today is the fourth and final week of our Dark Magic course, so we're going to get right to that. I do have this chat thread always open so I can see everything. It doesn't look like we have a huge crowd, but that could change. So if you do have anything that you'd like to ask me, please put my name in front of your question so I don't miss it, okay? But like I said, it looks like it's a little bit slow, so that's kind of good. There's less chance of me missing your question because I feel bad if I miss you. All right, and then we'll do let's just do a little review real quickly first. Oops. Here we go. All right, so those of you that are already on week 3, I know a lot of you are still on week 2, or some of you even week 1. But those of you who did work on the week 3, you probably did your evocation ritual, and that can be kind of intense. So hopefully you're learning how to go nice and slow. You don't have to do anything really fast, okay? Slowly is holy, especially with dark magic. Remember that what we're doing is we are just embracing the darkness in order that we can release anything that needs to be released, integrate things that need to be integrated, so that we're not, run by our unconscious motivations as much, that we are more actualized, that we're more powerful people. So it's a long-term process. You don't have to do anything fast. It's actually better if you don't do things quickly. Little by little is good. Now, another thing, and I think this comes up in the lesson today, if I'm not mistaken, but this is the summer, and I just happen to be giving the course right now. But for myself, I only tend to work, now this is just my thing, you can do whatever you want, but I tend to work dark magic only during the dark time of the year, like the dead of the winter. So like about maybe 3 out of 9 months max is what I work dark magic with. Because too much dark magic, I mean, it's good for us. I'm not saying, that it's a good thing, but too much of it tends to unbalance us too much. We become kind of like mole people. We're always down in the darkness and we're never in the light. And that's not good either. So you don't want to overdo this work either. You want to, like I said, I tend to do it mostly during the dark time of year. You're going to be doing it now just because it's a new course. But as you repeat it, you might want to consider giving yourself some time during when the sun is at its lowest points. Around the winter solstice, like between the winter solstice and Candlemas maybe, or that period between Samhain and Candlemas, you could do as well. Just to, if you want to give yourself, some solar timing that goes along with it, and that dark time is wonderful for this kind of shadow work. Ariel, are these shadows, or are they considered? Well, the ego is not an entity. The ego is a mental construct that we develop in order to prove to us that there's something wrong with us, or that we're separate from our good. And so a lot of the shadow work we're doing is dealing with repairing the damage that our ego has done. So I wouldn't say that the dark one necessarily is your ego. I guess the points could be made in favor of that, and so it's really just a perspective thing. The dark one really is just our dark self, that the dark part of ourselves that is responsible for creating that which we give it to develop in the dark room. So it's not it's not an entity. It's nothing to be feared or worshipped or anything like that. It's just the part of ourselves, the part of our minds that's responsible for giving us that which we put into the darkness to be germinated. So yeah, it's nothing to be feared, but the ego is involved with everything, not only dark magic. The ego is involved with everything in this world. Anything that we can, the ego's use of dark magic is going to be different than the soul's use of dark magic. Just like the ego's use of money is going to be different than the soul's use of money. The ego uses everything in order to try to separate us and to try to prove to us that there's something wrong with us. So it's not specific to dark magic. The ego can get a hold of anything and try to use it against us. And I'm a baby witch who's wait a minute. And I'm a baby witch who's followed from the shadows. Where should I begin? If you're just starting with the craft, I would start out with A Witch's Primer. And that's www.arielgatoga.com/AWP. So arielgatoga.com/AWP. That's the best place to start. That's the beginning class. And that's 18 weeks. And if you take those lessons in order and you do the exercises and you do the homework and you do what you're told to do, you should do quite well for yourself. All right. Any other questions so far? If I will answer more after the lesson too. So just feel free to put them right there. Okay. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. We'll get started now. Will we? Yes, we will. Merry meet and welcome to week 4 of Dark Magic. Why dark magic is so powerful. If you think back to your early days of training in a witch's primer, you will remember that you built your power bodies in a specific order. This order was not decided arbitrarily. The order mimics the order of creation itself. From the perspective of the elements, the phases of creation move from fire to water to air, and then finally to earth. Desire, fire, becomes emotionalized, water, is given conceptual structure, air, and then objectified or manifest, earth. We might think of the fire body as existing in the world above, the water body as existing in the world below, the air body existing as being the upper level of the world around, and the earth body as being the lower level of the world around. We are always creating our world magically following this formula, whether we are doing it consciously or by habit. Our desires determine our outcomes. If we are experiencing the outcomes that we dislike, it means that we are actually desiring things that we dislike. And those desires have become set into motion to manifest for us in a very precise and exact manner. If we can change the desires that we have, we can change the manifestations. However, our desires are such a non-dense part of who we are, then it can be very difficult for us to objectively notice them for what they are when they are in their pure state of desire. It's much like when we are wearing a perfume. We become so accustomed to it that we no longer even notice it, although it may be quite strong. Working directly with the fire body and the world above is what I call light magic, and it's the subject of a whole different course entirely. Much of the ways in which magic is taught revolves around changing our thinking. This can be very beneficial since the air body creates the blueprints for the manifestations of our desires. We can definitely alter our results by working with the air body to change the structures prior to them being built, and this involves things like visualizations, candle magic, affirmations, incantations, and the like. Working on the level of the air body is effective, but the air body belonging to the world around is but one step away from manifestation itself. It can be very time-consuming and require a great deal of energy and commitment in order for us to get the results that we desire working with the air body alone. Our water body is the seat of our emotions, and it has its domain in the underworld. What we are feeling gives us an indication of the desires which are being sent to the air body to be designed into physical structures, experiences, relationships, and the like. The air body designs the forms which will be created on the earth plane, but it takes these emotionalized desires directly from the world below, our water body. Think of this concept in terms of the physical elements for a moment. A desire is created. It's a spark of fire, the world above, which simultaneously creates its opposite, water, the world below. The two elements react upon each other and create steam, air, the world around us, as design. And once the reaction is complete, the sediment left over is the earth, the world around, as manifestation. All of our physical experience is thus merely sediment from alchemical reactions that are constantly occurring. All physical experience in the third dimension is the result of the reaction between the world above and the world below. Those of you who took my tarot magic course will remember this elemental theory as it was conceptualized as a six-pointed star. The more in tune we are with the water body, the world below, the more we can be aware of exactly that which is being sent to the air body for planning and what will ultimately be our objective experience in the earth body, the world on which we stand. The emotions we are experiencing demonstrate to us that which we are in the process of creating. If we don't like the emotions that we are carrying, we probably won't like the experiences when they are manifest either. Dealing directly with the earth plane is very slow and difficult, and is the manner in which most people in the world who are not metaphysically or magically inclined attempt to handle their problems. Working with the air body is the way the majority of people involved with magic and metaphysics generally approach changing their reality. But as we have discovered, the air body deals with forms that are almost already manifest. This is the reason why so many people get frustrated with their operations when working purely with things like visualization or the air body. They are working at a level too close to the end of the chain and have often a hard time changing the blueprints prior to them being realized in form. Working within the realms of the emotions, the water body or the underworld, gives us much more time and ultimate power to change things to our liking than working with the air body alone, which is what most people tend to do, since the underworld is several steps away from manifestation. Waiting to work on things with only the air body, as most magicians and metaphysicians... Take 3. Waiting to work on things with only the air body, as most magicians and metaphysicians do, can be much like trying to turn around a great ship prior to it reaching an iceberg. It can be done, of course, but it's much more unwieldy than taking care of things earlier before it gets to the point of crisis. Now that you are beginning to have some experience in working with the underworld, you are probably realizing that you no longer need to avoid your negative emotions. They are simply showing you the direction that your magic is flowing. You have techniques now that enable you to dive into those emotions and to begin to harmonize them as you make new decisions and infuse them with new desires. This is a much more powerful, quick, and effective way of changing things than simply relying on working with the air and earth bodies alone. Ultimately, it is wise to use all of our magic bodies together as a whole, yet in working directly with the underworld, you have found a way to alter your life that gives results much more quickly and powerfully than those which most people have ever been exposed to. Let's now lots of editing on this one, I think, coming up. Let's talk about the silence. Deep in the darkness of the underworld exists an infinite opportunity for rest, rejuvenation, healing, and peace. Beneath the suppressed fears, angers, and other tense emotions lies an ever-expanded peace and silence. Entering the silence is entering the holy place. The word occult means hidden. Within the silence is all occult knowledge. This knowledge and wisdom is hidden from the conscious mind. It can only be accessed through pure being. Although there can be great benefit in building so-called astral temples, the silence beyond all conscious thought... Okay, we're going to start that sentence again. Although there can be great benefit in building so-called astral temples, The silence is beyond all conscious thought and is not a place that can be seen. The voice of your superconscious mind is a voice that is loud within the silence, but it cannot be heard. The only way to access occult wisdom is by entering the silence directly. As you work on the various techniques described in this course, you will find that your own underworld experience becomes quite comfortable and quiet. You no longer are bullied by fears and apprehensions as you may have once been. You begin to access tremendous amounts of power to change your life by transforming the thought forms held within the darkness. The more often we enter silence, stillness, and peace, the faster we are able to transform our lives into the reflections of that same peace and stillness. We notice that our manifestations cease coming into being in violent or painful ways, but instead we live our lives of grace, poise, prosperity, love, health, and perpetual gratitude. Occult wisdom, being beyond words, seeps into our being by a force similar to osmosis. Moving into the silence, we notice that we go through cycles of rejuvenation. Our minds move from rest to activity, back to rest, and to activity. We learn to notice these cycles and allow them to be harmonized by our superconscious minds, in order that our conscious minds are stilled and given rest. Our conscious minds then begin to function in a much more healthy manner, rather than attempting to carry burdens which they were never meant to carry. We can take any burden into the silence and give it over to the wisdom of our superconscious mind to be harmonized. The superconscious mind is all-powerful. Once the superconscious mind harmonizes the energy we have been experiencing as a burden, our desires are no longer obscured by the limited thinking of our conscious minds, which have been obsessed with trying to unburden us, a task for which it is incapable of accomplishment. The superconscious mind then gives these newly harmonized desires for good to the Dark One, and the manifestations which occur are always greater, more pleasurable, and filled with joy than anything our conscious minds could have come up with on their own. This is how it is possible to live a so-called charmed life. Yet the conscious mind must choose to enter the silence. This power of choice is the conscious mind's alone. If you don't choose to work the magic will work itself based solely on the habits that have already been established. This is what is meant by the saying, the choice not to decide is still a choice. If you are living life being banged about from one experience to the next, you have made a choice to do so by your own indecision. Make it a habit to enter the silence regularly. It is not necessary that it always be done in the underworld, but doing so can be very pleasurable and restful. Whenever you enter the silence, though, be certain that you are in a place that you can remain undisturbed for the length of time that you desire to rest there. Usually between 10 and 30 minutes is sufficient. To enter the silence in the underworld is a 9-step process. Number 1, invoke. Number 2, conjure your underworld orb of light. Number 3, ask your superconscious mind to take you to the precise place in the underworld that has perfect peace for you. Number 4, descend into the underworld. Number 5, begin to relax and let go into the peace, silence, and stillness. Number 6, stay there for as long as you like. Number 7, ask the superconscious mind to take you back home. Number 8, ascend back into your body. And finally, number 9, be sure to verbally repeat the words blessed be or any other phrase that you prefer in order to be certain that you are back in your third dimensional time and place. Advancing your dark magic. As you continue to use dark magic to obtain fast and powerful results in your life, remember that you are developing a relationship with your superconscious mind and with the Dark One to levels most people don't even know exist. As long as the superstitious nonsense associated with magic, the underworld, deities, spirits, demons, angels, and the like are no longer a part of your practice, you may be interested in exploring the world above and the world below in a less abstract manner. Many people relate to the world above as a male deity, such as Father Sky, the sun god, Belenos, Ra, etc. They may also experience the world below as Mother Earth or underworld goddesses such as Hecate, Persephone, Caradwen, Sekhmet, and the like. Others find that the world above, the superconscious, is personified by goddesses such as Astarte, Nuit, while the world below, the Dark One, they relate to as male deities such as the Dark Lord, Cernunnos, Set, Hades, etc. Some practitioners find that evoking the spirits of the underworld work best for them when working with the goetic spirits such as Boon, Ashtoreth, Asmodee, etc., while others deal with these spirits as the Fae and the fairies. My recommendation is to find the certainty of working with the energies of the worlds as abstract principles and shades first, to be certain that you understand what they actually are. Then, if you are drawn to particular systems, take your time to research the systems thoroughly to understand the cultures involved with such systems, the pantheons, etc. I find that it is extremely important to align with deities only when you understand the methods and customs associated with those entities and can be respectful of them. For instance, if you are drawn to working with the powers of the Orishas, I would never recommend arbitrarily calling on the Orishas by name until you have a great deal of knowledge of the traditions behind them, so that you are capable of being respectful of them as such. Once you take the powers out of the purely abstract and into the personal, you are also moving into the group mind which is associated with those powers as named. It is a very sophomoric and ill-mannered practice to arbitrarily call on the powers by ancient names without having taken the time to obtain sufficient knowledge of the cultures and practices out of which those names were born. There are two ways to research named powers. One is through the conscious mind, and this is done by reading, studying, and working with teachers and experts in the system at hand. And the second is by working directly with the entities themselves. I recommend that both methods be used, but always do your research first before working with a named entity directly. Spirit guides. In addition to working with named entities from specific cultures, you also have the ability to work more personally with the powers as personal guides. This requires less anthropological study, obviously, than working with traditional entities. When working with personal guides, you are simply asking the powers to reveal themselves to you in forms and by names which are personal to you. This practice takes the experiences of these powers from the purely abstract to the personal. Working with guides is an extremely beneficial practice that can be life-changing. However, whenever you begin to move out of the realms of the abstract, it is very easy for old superstitions to take over. If you notice that you begin to justify negative experiences and behaviors as, my guide told me, blah, 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 or if you start having puffed up experiences of meditation where your guide gives you some grand ego gratification, or you begin to feel fearful or bullied by a spirit, you need to immediately recognize that you are not in fact experiencing the powers, but are instead experiencing delusional states of your own ego creation. The powers as guides, deities, and entities are powerful when they give you clear-cut, practical advice, intercede on your behalf in positive and life-affirming ways, and are always under the direct supervision of your higher self. However, abusing the concepts of these powers to waste time in silly pursuits, indulge in ego gratification, hexing and cursing others, obtaining pointless so-called, quote, information, or just scaring yourself is actually not working with the powers at all. You will know what you are doing based on the results you are getting in your life. If your life begins to reflect harmony, peace, wealth, joy, health, and the like, then you know you are on the right track. If you start becoming paranoid, revengeful, desperate, broke, sick, etc., then you are obviously on the wrong track. There's nothing wrong with working different systems at different times in your life. This can be seen as a type of crop rotation. Sometimes you may be working intently with a Celtic path for a period of time, and at other times in your life you may be immersed in a Greek system. Perhaps you will be drawn to study fairy magic or angelic magic. Maybe you will be led to the Kabbalah or Solomonic magic. There is a difference between being well-versed and being a dabbler, however. It is very important that systems be respected. If you are interested in Kabbalah, then it means that you will be doing so for a significant period of time, since that system is rather dense. If you are working with fairy magic, it is important that rather than just making it up as you go along, that you study who the fairies are and how the fairy faith has been practiced for centuries. No one can determine the form the magical path is supposed to take for you except you and your higher self. Working closely in the silence on a regular basis will bring you into harmony with your life's purpose, and you will notice that your path unfolds before you spontaneously and in seemingly miraculous ways. You will be led onto the path which is perfect for you at the time, and there will be no question that you are doing exactly the right thing. Dark magic has a way of making things manifest very quickly, and now you have knowledge and power to work this magic to create the life as you want it. If you don't like your life, you know who is responsible for changing that. You have the power to have what you want right now, and I recommend that you use it wisely and well. Thank you so much for studying this 4-week course in dark magic with me. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, blessed be. All right, let's see if we have any questions. Doesn't look like it. Okay. You can post it here. You can post your question on the forum, or you can post your question on the Facebook group. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I don't do a lot of one-on-one mentoring. Otherwise, I don't have time for anything but that. I get a lot of people trying to do one-on-one stuff with me, and I just don't have time for it. Just because there's only 24 hours in the day, So that's best thing is to either put it on the chat thread or on the live streams, or on the Facebook group, or on our forum on our website. Okay. Any other questions? It doesn't look like it. Thank you for doing this 4-week dark magic course. Next week, I think it's definitely on Thursdays, we're going to be doing the angel magic course, starting with lesson 1. So we're going to do one lesson a week. Now, we're just doing that so that we have the lectures and the questions and things recorded anew. Ultimately, for working that angel magic course, you want to work the magic on those one lesson per month. And it's fine to read ahead and to know all of the other stuff. But as far as working the lessons, just really work those lessons one per month. That's the best way to get that taken care of. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I adore you, and I will see you all hopefully tomorrow for Fearless Friday. And if not, perhaps next week for Angel Magic Week 1. Much, much love and many, many blessings.